MOIN. Why Germany's north sounds so northern. Part 2. More North German lingo gems.
Disclaimer. The following program may contain linguistic elements that are habit-forming. Prolonged exposure to Northern German, Low Saxon expressions, and Missingsch phenomena may result in unintended shifts in pronunciation, vocabulary, and general conversational attitude. Documented side effects include increased use of the particle ne, casual grammatical contamination by regional syntax, mild sarcasm, and the impulsive or even compulsive splitting of adverbs in everyday speech. Some viewers have reported spontaneous code switching, the sudden ability to understand Low Saxon speakers, or an overwhelming urge to correct people on the true meaning of MOIN. By continuing to watch this video, you accept full responsibility for any regional charm or linguistic contamination that may occur. Your discretion is advised, especially south of the Benrad line. Any complaints must be submitted in writing and in triplicate and in person to the Court of Klein-Dollenbüttel located north of the Benrad line. Processing time may vary.
Welcome back, and hats off to you for sticking around despite the warning about possible contagious northern exposure. Have you watched the first installment of this series about the peculiarities of Northern German at their origin? I invite you to do so if you haven't. There's a link to it underneath the video. And then please come back to this one. Together, the two videos should provide you with a pretty good foundation. If you're not a native yourself, you can then venture north, impress the locals, and get your feet wet. Literally, unless you bring rubber boots. In this installment, we'll explore more expressions, pronunciation quirks, and grammar nuggets that make Northern German wonderfully weird, and maybe even win you some bonus points with the locals. In the previous video, I explained that Northern German dialects are influenced by an earlier layer of Low Saxon, Low German, the original language of the region. Most of these influences come through an intermediate layer, a now fading transitional blend of Low Saxon and High German. It's known as Missingsch. These influences affect pretty much all aspects of Northern German, especially in casual speech. If you watch my previous video, you'll understand this a lot better, partly because of many examples. So, let's get going here. I'm starting you off with a North German way of saying something like get to the point, or cut to the chase, or even more succinctly, Yiddish. Nu schön. Nu mal Butter bei die Fische. It comes from Low Saxon, nu mal Butter bei die Fisch, which means go on, add some butter to the fish. I guess it's butter on top, not to be confused with cherry on top. Before we get to some juicy, if not buttery expressions, I need to briefly mention a few linguistic features that I missed in the first video. If it's too dröge, boring for you, feel free to jump ahead just a bit. But do hang around if you are linguistically inclined or want to learn to produce North German sounds yourself. One key feature of Northern pronunciation is the near complete absence of the schwa, that weak, mumbled vowel sound common in English, French, and Southern German. Instead, short E is pronounced E. Whenever it's not stressed, it disappears, and the following L, or nasal consonant, becomes syllabic. For example, in Essen, food, and Gabel, fork. You get something similar in American English, for instance, gotten and bottle. And then there is labial attraction. Nope, not that kind of attraction. I mean the phonetic kind, where a labial consonant copies the one before it. For instance, haben, to have, and sagen, to say. And a short E in a closed syllable often changes to a rounded version, for instance, bin instead of bin, for am. But sometimes it happens elsewhere. For instance, in sind instead of sind, are. North Germans just like to purse their lips, I guess. Go figure. Let me add that the vowel also becomes nasal if the following consonant is nasal. Last time I explained that they drag out short vowels before sonorants. Now let me add that the vowel also becomes nasal if the following consonant is nasal, as in the sentence, der junge Mann hat schon als ganz kleines Kind mit Singen und Tanzen angefangen. And finally, a grammar point. In very casual speech, Missingsch pokes out its cheeky little head by showing off its genitive construction that it inherited from its Low Saxon parent. In standard German, you'd say das Haus des Mannes for the house of the man, or Katrins Buch, or das Buch von Katrin, or Katrin's book. But in Missingsch, it's den Mann sein Haus and Katrin ihr Buch, respectively. Why? Because in Low Saxon the normal way is to say den Mann sein Hus and Katrin ihr Buch. That's the man his house and Katrin her book. A structure that's ungrammatical in standard German but feels totally normal up north. Compare this with Afrikaans. Die Mann se Huis and Katrin se Buch. Alright, now let's dive into the stew of North German expressions. It's full of juicy morsels. Feudel is a cloth rag for wiping floors. We used to call it foil in my family. It's Aufwischtuch in standard German. You can use it as a verb, feudeln, and you say auffeudeln when you mop up. Hier kommt's nicht rein. Ich bin gerade am Feudeln. You're not getting in here. I'm in the middle of mopping. Ausbüchsen means to run away or to escape. It comes from Low Saxon utbüchsen. The meaning of büchs is pants or trousers. Die Lüde ist ein richtiger Wübstert. Die büchst in einer Tour aus. The little one is a real wiggle worm. She keeps running away. Wübstert actually means wagtail. Yes, that lively little bird. In extension, it can refer to someone who can sit still. Wippen, related to standard German wippen, means to rock, to bounce, or to seesaw. Steert is Low Saxon for tail. It's related to Dutch start, and also to start or stert for tail, surviving in just a few English dialects of northern Britain. Schnökern means to snack, especially to snack on sweet things or to sneak candy. The standard German equivalent is naschen, and you may recognize its relationship with Yiddish nosch. Schnökerkram is the stuff you schnöker. The original meaning of kram is ware or merchandise, but nowadays it simply means stuff. The original Low Saxon words are snökern and snökerkram. The ending er is an ancient Germanic way of showing that an action happens repeatedly. So I wonder if the long-forgotten root is snö, and if this is related to English sneak. What do you think? Die Jungs haben mal wieder heimlich geschnökert. Wo haben die bloß all den Schnökerkram her? The boys have been sneaking candy again. Where did they get all that junk food? Schmökern is when you read something interesting and enjoyable. And the thing you schmöker is a schmöker, usually a good book. And yes, the Low Saxon originals, snökern and smöker, are indeed related to the word smoke. Smoke. A smoker is a smoker in Low Saxon. I guess people used to like to smoke while enjoying good reading material, but you can also schmöker without smoking. And a schmöker isn't necessarily a smoker. No, I'm not blowing smoke here, but let's move on. Bei dem Schiedwetter bleib ich zu Hause und schmöker. In this crappy weather, I'm staying home reading. Iron means to caress, to pet, or in non-American English, to stroke. It came from Low Saxon and its root is the exclamation I, a mostly archaic expression of surprise, dismay, or even delight. The standard German equivalent is streicheln. Du musst deinen kleinen Bruder aber ganz vorsichtig ein. But you've got to pet your little brother very carefully. Verdödeln means something like to miss, lose, or forget because of dawdling and perhaps inattention. I don't think there's a standard German relative of this word. Can you think of one? Low Saxon has the noun dödelei, which means dawdling. I suppose some people say dödelei as well. Dödel and dawdle must be related. Oma, was hast du jetzt wieder verdödelt? Grandma, what have you messed up now? Klamüsern or klamüstern is an intransitive verb meaning something like to ponder or to brainstorm. Ausklamüsern is the transitive version. In most Low Saxon dialects, it's klamüstern and utklamüstern. Do you have any clue as to the origin of this? Dutch has klamöser for shrike. Yes, the bird. Klamösern for to shriek. Could there be a connection? What on earth would that be? Surely no one shrieks while trying to figure out something. Or kann und kann das einfach nicht ausklamüsern. He just can't figure it out. Tüdeln and its alternative version tüdern are Low Saxon loanwords, originally meaning something like to bind or to tie, for example strings or yarn. The extended meaning is to fabricate, as in to spin a tale. Also to fib. Vertüdeln and its alternative vertüdern means something like to get in a twist, as do in Tüdel kommen and in Tüder kommen. The original meaning of the noun Tüdel or Tüder is knot or fetter. No, I'm not tüdeling here. Wer hat denn jetzt wieder die Wolle so vertüdelt? Who messed up the wool like that again? Wenn der erstmal anfängt, hört er nicht auf zu tüdeln. Once he starts, he won't stop telling tall tales. Abkönnen means to be able to stomach or to tolerate. The standard German equivalent is vertragen. Pikantes Essen kann er einfach nicht ab. He just can't tolerate spicy food. Büdel, literally soft bag or sack. It comes from Low Saxon, as in the casual or folksy way of saying what in standard German is Beutel. It can refer to a person in compound words. For example, Sabbelbüdel for an overly talkative person, Dröhnbüdel for a long-winded, tedious speaker, Windbüdel for a flake or airhead, and Sheetbüdel for an infant, alternatively for a diaper. Hey, see, English has windbag, and that has the same meaning as Sabbelbüdel. Karl und Fiede sind echte Sabbelbüdels. Karl and Fiede are real windbags. Schieder is Low Saxon and means, you may have guessed, but it doesn't sound offensive like the English equivalent and Scheisse, the German one. It simply refers to an infant and is used as a term of endearment for people big and small. It's much like English darling, honey, or baby, except you should never use it to address a stranger. Oh, komm doch mal her, mein Schieder du. Oh, baby, come on here then, you. Bangbüchs is a Low Saxon word that literally means what I would call scaredy pants. I prefer it to scaredy cat, though I seem to be the only person using it. Bang means afraid, and Büchs means pants. It's a northern alternative to standard German Angsthase, scaredy bunny. Zum Bangbüchs und guckt trotzdem immer Gruselfilme. What a scaredy cat, and keeps watching horror movies anyway. Switch is a Low Saxon loanword that can't be used by itself. In Low Saxon it means crop, as in riding crop. It's indeed related to English switch, the kind naughty children used to be punished with, including the ones that babbled in Low Saxon in school. This word has a very complex and poorly known etymology in both languages. Going into it here would lead us too far down a rabbit hole. Let's just say that what's involved here is ideas like change of direction and roaming around, as in Low Saxon switchen and Old English switchian. Northern German only has the phrase auf dem Switch, based on Low Saxon open switch, which basically means on a bar hopping tour. Jeden Sonnabend gehen die Jungs auf den Switch. The guys go bar hopping every Saturday night. Big Beeren are what in standard German is either Heidelbeeren or Blaubeeren, namely blueberries. The origin of this Low Saxon word is uncertain. Damals hat man noch wilde Big Beeren sammeln gekonnt. Back then you could still collect wild blueberries. And yes, I'm old enough to remember those days. Those wild berries were smaller and a lot tastier than today's farm-grown ones. Oh, and talking about berries, there are those, Fliederbeeren. It's another confusing word in Northern German. It sounds like lilac berries, because Flieder means lilac. But Fliederbeeren actually means elderberries. Lilac and elder are different plants, right? Well, then I realized that Fleder and Flederbeeren refer to elder and its berries in Low Saxon, and lilac is Sirene. Yes, there are alternatives, but let's not get bogged down in details. So it turns out that Low Saxon Fleder for elder is the real McCoy, and that German first borrowed Middle Saxon Fleder and then changed the meaning to lilac. Have you ever noticed that plant names can be extremely diverse and confusing among related languages and even dialects? Abends haben wir oft heißen Fliederbeersaft gekriegt. In the evening, we often got hot elderberry juice. Did you notice that gekriegt sounds like gekriegt? That too is a northern feature. If you wish, I'll talk about it in the next video in this mini-series. Rundstück, yum, or should I say lecker? North Germans love fresh, crusty bread rolls, a treat on weekend mornings. The consistency is similar to that of baguettes. The standard German word is Brötchen, little bread, and there are dialectal words like Semmel and Schrippe. Rundstück is a Low Saxon word that literally means round piece, but today's version tends to be oval, go figure. Danish borrowed it as Rundstykke and passed it on to Norwegian. Hamburg has two specialties involving Rundstück. And no, what Americans call hamburger isn't one of them. One is a tad similar. Rundstück warm. A Rundstück cut in halves, maybe with a slice of meat on top, and then doused with warm gravy and a pickle on the side. The other snack is the famous Fischbrötchen that used to be called Fischrundstück. Cooked or pickled fish or other type of seafood on a Rundstück sandwich. Sonnabendmorgen gibt es bei uns immer Rundstücke. We always have bread rolls on Saturday mornings. And Sonnabend instead of Samstag for Saturday is Northern too, derived from Low Saxon Sonnabend, literally sun evening, the night before Sunday. Berg, pronounced Berg, and its Low Saxon equivalent Bach. Now, there's a northern phenomenon that surely meets with chuckles in the south. Yes, it does mean mountain, as it does in Standard German, but sharing a largely low, flat terrain with our Netherlandic neighbors to the west, North Germans are notorious for making a mountain out of a hill, even out of the slightest elevation. This explains Berg names of northern places where no real mountains exist. But everything's relative, right? Und dann immer wieder mit dem Schlitten den Berg runter. And then again and again downhill on a sled. Moos is the part of your body that you sit on. Yep, it comes from Low Saxon moos for the same thing. The origin is ors, and the preceding m might be a leftover of medieval meaning on the. Just guessing here. Yes, a person can be called a moos as well. I'm sure you can think of one or another. Der sitzt Tag und Nacht auf dem Moos und guckt YouTube. He sits on his butt watching YouTube day and night. Bregenklöderi is not a good thing to be. It comes from Low Saxon and means insane, literally brain rattly, or more elegantly put, rattle-brained. Standard German has irrsinnig, verrückt, and a plethora of other equivalents. Och Mensch, bist ja wohl bregenklöderig. Hey man, you've got to be nuts. Moksch is what you are when someone hurt your feelings or when things don't go your way. One standard German equivalent I can come up with is eingeschnappt. Moksch is a Low Saxon word derived from the noun muck, which means something like quirk, and the sh at the end creates adjectives, as do German ish and English ish. Diesmal wieder Moksch. Warum weiß ich auch nicht. She's in a huff again. I don't know why either. Fünsch. Uh-oh, things seem to be escalating. First Moksch, but now Fünsch. The origin is Low Saxon Fünsch, which I believe came from the noun fiend, enemy, or the adjective fiend, hostile, with the ending sh again. So, yes, it's literally fiendish, but today's meaning is simply angry or furious. And there's that labial attraction again. Fiensch turned into Fünsch. What's up with the pouty lips? Is that why North Germans are sometimes called Fischköpfe, meaning fish heads? Was denn jetzt wieder los? Unsere Oma ist ja total Fünsch. What's going on now? Our grandma is absolutely furious. You're ramdösig when your brain starts feeling numb, when you got sensory overload, or when someone goes on and on ad nauseam, and you just can't take it anymore. The first part of this Low Saxon adjective is the verb rammen, meaning to ram. The second part is the adjective dösig, which means dazed, coming from the verb dösen, which means something like to be barely conscious or to be in a stupor. You met the root of it in dösbaddel, for absent-minded or clumsy person in my previous video. So I assume that the buck called ram in English got its name from to ram. Those guys tend to butt their heads together until one of them gets so dösig that he falls over and gives up. Oh, and do you think there's a connection between dös and days? Der Krach, da wird einer ja richtig ramdösig bei. The noise, it's truly stupefying. Oh, and yes, North Germans tend to say Krach rather than Lamb when they mean noise. Aish means naughty in Low Saxon and applies to children. A little while ago you met the root I in the verb ayen, meaning to pet, the expression of surprise or dismay. So an adult might utter I, yes, like Spanish I, when being dismayed by a child's bad behavior. No ein for children that are aish. Nope. And Santa might have to be informed. He might even bring a switch. Der darf heute nicht butchern, war den ganzen Tag aish. He's not allowed to play outside today. He's been naughty all day. Dröge or drög is Low Saxon for dry. Dry, by the way, comes from the Old English drüje. See, in Northern German you use these words as more negative alternatives to Standard German trocken, like when a food is impossibly dry. You can also use it to express that something is too technical, tedious, or boring. Hey, I hope you don't find this video presentation too dröge. Ihre Vorlesungen sind mir einfach zu dröge. Her lectures are just too boring for me. You really don't want to be known as gnadderig or gnaddelig. Only grumpy, surly, and cantankerous people deserve being called that. Standard German mürrisch and griesgrämig come to mind as alternatives. Gnadderig and gnaddelig are Low Saxon and appear to be derived from the verb gnarren, which means to growl or to moan. A person thus inclined can be called a gnadderbüdel, something like moan bag. See, there's a büdel again. Low Saxon double D or T is authentically pronounced with the American flap, which is close to Low Saxon R between vowels. So people confuse them and German speakers hear and write them as D. Die nebenan kann ich nicht ab. So gnadderig ist die. I can't stand the one next door. That's how grumpy she is. Something that is Figelinsch takes a lot of skill to deal with. English equivalents like complicated, tricky, and fiddly come to mind. So do Standard German kompliziert, knifflig, and tüftelig. Low Saxon Figelinsch comes from Figelin, meaning violin. I suppose playing the violin is fiddly business. Get it? Die hat was weg. Rein nix ist der zu Figelinsch. She's got it going on. Absolutely nothing is too fiddly for her. Mittenmang is Low Saxon and means something like in among or amidst. It's more specific than Standard German unter, meaning under, as well as among. Standard German in mitten comes closer. Low Saxon mang and English among have no relatives in Standard German. Oh, guck mal, mein Teddy mit among all den Kram. Oh, look, my teddy is in among all that stuff. Und zu. Now, there's a word few German speakers elsewhere are familiar with. It's so northern, the literal translation of Low Saxon und to, which means something like and the area surrounding it. In Hamburg und zu ist ein Zugereister ein Quitje. In Hamburg and the surrounding area, a newcomer is a Quitje. There are lots more things to say about German of the North. I'd do another video about them if you're interested. But before I go, just a short list of words that to this North German sound so southern that he often feels reluctant to use them. Yes, I know, thanks to education and media, more and more Northerners are using these expressions as the distinct color of the North slowly fades. As I explained in my previous video, language isn't static. It constantly moves and layers itself, adapts to ever-changing circumstances. Halt, in the sense of after all, is so southern that I still refuse to use it because the northern equivalent eben serves me just fine. Thank you very much. In this context, eben is connected with Low Saxon even. Southern, so ist es halt. Northern, so ist es eben. That's how it is after all. Being a northerner, I wouldn't say dort for there or over there, unless maybe while writing academic material. Saying da instead comes naturally to me, as does door in Low Saxon. Southern, dorthin fahre ich morgen. Northern, da fahre ich morgen hin. I'll go there tomorrow. I'm even more averse to saying fort instead of weg for away. Weg is also what you say in Low Saxon. The northern pronunciation is weg, while in the south it's weg. Interestingly, weg has taken a foothold in the south as well and seems to be gradually replacing fort. You probably figured out that fort and weg have English cousins, forth and away. Southern, ich muss morgen wieder fort. Northern, ich muss morgen wieder weg. I've got to leave again tomorrow. In casual speech, Northerners sometimes say einer instead of standard German jemand for somebody. This is consistent with Low Saxon ein, meaning one. Southern, das hat mir einmal jemand gesagt. Northern, das hat mir mal einer gesagt. Someone once told me that. Den instead of standard German dann, in the sense of then, is another northern feature inherited from Low Saxon den. In standard German, den only means because or since. Southern, dann bin ich heim. Northern, dann bin ich nach Hause. Then I went home. Schauen, for to look, feels rather southern to me. Traditionally, northerners say gucken and pronounce it gucken. Why? It's kieken in Low Saxon. Southern, schau einmal. Northern, guck mal. Look. Bekommen is standard German for to get. In more relaxed modes of speech, northerners tend to say kriegen instead. And in even more relaxed modes, they conjugate it the way Low Saxon conjugates its verb kriegen. But I leave details for this for another video. You get a taste of it in the sample sentence. Kriegst instead of kriegst. Southern, von mir bekommst du nichts. Northern, von mir kriegst nix. You won't get anything from me. Werfen is the usual standard German word for to throw, but northerners often say schmeißen instead. Why? To throw is smeten in Low Saxon, which is related to English to smite. Yep, a little more aggressive than just throwing. Southern, wirf das Zeug nur weg. Northern, schmeiß den Kram weg. Just throw this stuff away. And to finish off, let's just take a look at 5 Northern German phrases. When someone is well, he or she is auf dem Damm, literally on the dam. Someone who has recovered from an illness is wieder auf dem Damm, on the dam again. This phrase is inspired by Low Saxon wieder auf dem Damm. It's a coastal lowlands thing. Dams and dikes everywhere, and you'd better seek higher ground if you didn't bring your rubber boots. Northern, ist Opa nur wieder auf dem Damm? Southern, ist Opa jetzt wieder auf den Beinen? Is Grandpa back on his feet now? Was muss, das muss. And its Low Saxon equivalent, wat mut, dat mut, means something like, you've got to do what you've got to do. You can throw in the Low Saxon version even while speaking German. It adds flavor. Northern, wieder auf der Arbeit? Jo, was muss, das muss. Southern, wieder zur Arbeit? Ja, was sein muss, muss sein. Back to work? Yep, you've got to do what you've got to do. You say da nicht für to trivialize what someone thanked you for. It comes from Low Saxon da nicht für, meaning something like don't mention it, literally not for that. In standard German, it would be dafür nicht, but I don't think people actually say that. Northern, danke, da nicht für. Southern, danke, nichts zu danken. Thanks, It was nothing. Musha is one of the expressions that feed the stereotype of North Germans being laconic and understated. It's a contraction of muss ja, which is a contraction of es muss ja or man muss ja. Impossible to translate, something like must be or must go. It's in response to an inquiry about one's well-being. It sounds like saying that things are hard, but you've got to go on anyway. But actually, it can stand for a whole range from so-so to fantastic. It's that understatement thing, you see. It's similar to a stereotypical North German saying, kann man essen, it's edible, when elsewhere it would be lecker or delicious. Northern, wie geht dir das? Moshe. Southern, wie geht es dir? Leidlich. How are you doing? Okay, I guess. And finally the northern jewel in the crown. Ne. It's the equivalent of standard German, nicht wahr? Southern German, gell? And French, n'est-ce pas? It's like the English tag question, right? In its various alternatives. You hear ne a lot in both Northern German and Low Saxon. Das ist Schiedwetter, ne? So ist das, ne? It's crappy weather, isn't it? It sure is, isn't it? Interestingly, you can hear it in some other languages as well, including far-flung ones, like Japanese, with the same meaning. Hidoi denki desu ne, so nan desu ne. Well, how about that? Pretty cool, ne? So, how do you like this leg of the journey into the grey yonder of Northern German speech and spirit? Has it helped you to understand the whys and wherefores a bit more? If you haven't already, I invite you to click on the link in the description and watch the first video in this mini-series. Has any of the lingo rubbed off on you yet? Are you game for another episode? Leave a comment with questions, suggestions, requests, and additional information. Also tell me where you're from. And by all means, subscribe and invite others to join. For now, keep your feet dry by staying on the dam. Tschüss.